the time for a 10 a.m. meeting, and then I didn't realize I was going to be at a client site, so I ended up having to shift it. But actually, it was meant to be 4 p.m. originally. It was just a mistake from my side. So I apologize. I'll try to make it quick. I know that it's pretty much end of the day, and a lot of people probably need to get going. They need to get home as it is. So I will look to do this very quickly as it is. So once again, thank you very much for taking the time out to be here. I know you will get a lot of value from this, but it's also very important that people come. If we organize these events and people end up not coming, then I'll have to end up speaking to myself or to the organizing team within the organization. So it's we don't take it for granted um, that you take the time to come for these sessions. Every time we do this, some people they hear all the time, they come all the time, and we are grateful as it is. So once again, thank you very much, and welcome you all to this session. I believe the session is going to be recorded, so there'll definitely be an opportunity for people to go back to listen to the same things, to look at them again, and hopefully they will be able to get things going in their own organization. They'll be able to implement certain things, because the idea behind these sessions is not just to have it's just not to have it's not just to have the sessions as it is. The idea here is to ensure that the sessions add value, so to speak, to people. So it's not just to have the sessions, but to ensure that the sessions add value. So thank you very much for being here. The set of exams that people need to go to, the set of activities, I beg your pardon, the set of activities that people need to go to drive and ensure once they get out of these meetings. So it's not just being here for being sake, but hopefully to go to get specific things done in your organizations as it is. I know that I've taken this session before. In fact, I think this is my third time. I think this is my third time of taking this particular session. I know the first time was during COVID. I remember immediately COVID started, and we were doing a list of I was doing the list of webinars. Then I must have done about 12 webinars during that entire COVID period. And I remember clearly and categorically that I started with this particular one. This is the one that I started with. And once again, I'm happy to be doing it again. I have a couple of clients and a couple of friends that are implementing this right now. Don't mind that this says 20, don't mind that it says 20, what do they call it? That it says 2019 version of the standard. Please don't ignore that. It doesn't matter whether it says 2019 or whatever it is. They are it's still very valid, and ISACA as an organization has not put any other thing together apart from this ones. So ISACA has not put anything together apart from this particular standard. I'm distracted. Somebody is distracting me. ISACA as an organization has not put anything in place apart from this. So the first thing I'm going to do, let me see, hopefully I can access the chat room. Sometimes I have all sorts of conflicts on my computer. So the first thing is that everybody, if you go to the chat room, we welcome you all over again, everybody. So please, can you tell me what are your expectations? So Benga or whoever has set up this link, this thing says you can't message because you're not a member of the chat. I knew that I might have this problem. Okay. So everybody, please go into the chat room. Benga, I'll just send this to you or send it to you, Angela. Just put this link in the chat room. So everybody, what are your expectations from this session? Please, very quickly, you can just put it in the chat room. You can download some COBIT collateral. You can download some COBIT collateral, everybody, from the link that Angela is going to put in the chat room. You can download some COBIT collateral from the link that's we're going to put in the chat room. Okay. So everybody, thank you very much, America. Hello, everybody. Can everybody go to the chat room and just let me know that they're here? All right. Angela will send the link in a second. So yes, she's done that. You will find some collateral in there. All right, that are useful, that will help in your journey and in your quest for becoming some sort of COBIT 2019 expert, so to speak. All right, so you will find something in there that will help in that regard. Okay. Okay. All right. Mr. Duniga, deeper understanding. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, sir. Maka, do we have full understanding? The COBIT training is 2 full days where we spent about 16 hours. So I'm going to try to do this in about 1.5 hours. So, but I'm sure you still get full understanding. I promise you that. Guaranteed. Mariah, seen colleagues use it. Oh, they claim. I like that. Is that some of the colleagues they claim to use it? If your colleagues catch you, Mariah, you're casting aspersions on them. So everybody, please come to the chat room. Give me your give me your thoughts. Can you logo understand the concepts? Yes, absolutely. All right. So everybody, give me some sort of your expectation. And Angela has been kind enough. She will share that link from time to time. Maybe every 5 minutes or something at least when we start. She will share the link all over again. From that link, you can download some COBIT collateral directly from the Issaka site. You'll get some COBIT collateral that you can download directly from the Issaka site. All right, good. Can I quickly get expectations from a couple of others? And then, all right. All right. There's a button somewhere that says charts. Should be somewhere in your window. Okay. Okay. Good. All right. So definitely, it's a refresher course for you, Abdurrahman. I agree. Whether the organization has fully and effectively adopted it is a separate thing, right? It might have been implemented. So please help me right. Implementation versus full and effective adoption. Abdurrahman, those are two different things, right? Foundational knowledge, Richard, absolutely. Cynthia says framework principles. Yes, I'll try. Right? Okay. Talani, to get an insight into this, yes, pretty much. Okay. Any other person? Any other person? Okay, Martin says I'm a complete newbie. That's fine. There's room for that, Martin. There's room for being a newbie, so that's not a problem at all. You're in good company if you're a newbie as it is. Len, as usual, thank you very much, Ferdinand. It's great to have you here once again. Emeka says he's forgotten. Stella, says I forgotten. Stella says I forgot what I learned in COVID 5. I need insight for the implementation process, fundamentals. And then hi everyone, newbie. Okay, Adiola also says newbie, not a problem at all. David, no knowledge of COBIT. All right, good. control objectives. It used to be called control objectives for information technology, but they no longer call it that name. They just call it COBIT. Well, originally it was called control objectives for information technology. Control objectives for information technology. That was the name. And the newest, the latest version that exists is still the 2019 version. And they've shared the link. Angela has been kind enough. She's shared the link about twice now. So everybody click on that link. It's directly to the ISACA website. It's directly to the ISACA website. And on that site, you'll find quite a bit of collateral. So everybody should download it. You will find it to be extremely useful. Let me go straight into this. I want to do this very quickly because of time. Right. Sorry. Okay, good. Can everybody see my screen? So a big thank you to the Training Heights team that have put this session together. That is Muyiwa and Victoria and Benga and Angela, the entire team in Training Heights and also in Training Heights Ghana that have taken their time to put this session together. Thank you very much for doing that as it is. Okay. All right. So once again, everyone, this is an introduction into this. It actually probably covers everything that you need to know about COBIT 2019. As it is, I'm Dr. Orlando, and it's my pleasure to be here. I've shared that link directly under my name just so that a lot of people will also have some sort of access to the COBIT collateral. So I've shared that with everybody. I've been doing this COBIT for quite a bit. I honestly can't even remember. I'm certain that I've done this thing because I remember about 20 something years ago when I got certified, when I got registered as an ISACA member. They sent me a version of COBIT 3 or something. And if I can remember precisely, that year was year 2002. Year 2002, if I can remember precisely. It was in the year 2002. So I think I've been practicing this for a very long time, and I'm an approved trainer, and we've done quite a couple of things in different countries relative to this as it is. So these are some of the old certificates that I could lay my hands upon. I'm certain I've lost majority of the new ones, and then some other things also tied to this new version of 2019. They've got something called the foundation certificate, and they also have something called the design and implementation certificate. I don't even know when I did them. I think I did one before COVID or something. Anyways, I can't really remember these things. Certificates are great, but certificate is not equal to knowing the work. Certificate is not equal to being able to deliver value. So I don't like to focus too much on certificates, you know. Certificates are great when you're looking for a job so that you can put something in front of people, but it doesn't really mean that you understand the job in itself, right? So the first point for me, and I'm going to go very fairly quickly as it is. Once again, I'm mindful of the time of a lot of people. The first thing is that you can use IT to meet information technology can help you meet business objectives, right? So if these are your business objectives, I dare say information technology. Let me say information technology. Um, and its effective use and adoption can help the organization meet its business objectives. I dare say that, right? So this is 2024 going into 2025. If your organization is struggling with the appropriate use and adoption of information technology, then I'm not sure you're ready for the future. I'm not sure you're what we can call future ready. All right, I'm not sure we can call your organization future ready if your organization is struggling with the complete or the full use of an adoption of information technology, because if you adopt it appropriately, if you use it, it will help you meet all these business objectives. And I think that's the first point I need to make. So your organization is thinking about more money, is thinking about revenue, is thinking about profits, is thinking about all these things. If you understand the entire gamut of information technology, and let me add something to it, and let me say digital platforms, right? Whether those digital platforms are social media platforms, whatever, it doesn't really matter. Whatever kind of platforms they are, if you get it right as an organization, then you can meet all these objectives. And I think I have more than enough examples, experience, and all sorts that can prove that, for different clients, I have seen where every information technology and its effective use and adoption has helped the organization to meet all these objectives. So I think everybody needs to go away just thinking that, how can IT help us? That's a big question. And I know, and if you also look at the objectives on my screen, these objectives, they span different industries, they span different environments, they span different things. These objectives are not tied to just one thing or the other. These objectives they span everywhere. So whether it's HR, whether it's logistics, whether it's finance, whether it's facility management. I have a client right now that is deploying the facility management software. I have a client that is deploying all sorts of things when it comes to physical security using technology, CCTV cameras and surveillance and things like that. I have people who are deploying CRM and ERPs. I've had an ERP conversation with a client today. I've had a CRM conversation with a client. I've seen all sorts, heard all sorts, and I've seen different clients. I'm lucky every year, or I'm blessed. Probably a better way for me to put it. Every year, I get the opportunity to go to about 100 different organizations every year. At least over the last, I don't know, maybe 12 years or maybe 15 years. I'll end up with about, X number of clients in a year. Either we're training, we're doing consulting, or we're doing some kind of audit work for them. I see these things every year. So I can tell you that, I've seen where information technology has been used to help the organization meet its objectives. So I think you need to all think about that. And that's a question everybody needs to go away with. How can information technology help us improve our organization, help us improve our business, and help us ensure that we deliver on our business objectives? So that's number one. And once again, it goes on. It just goes on. This is a strategy thing. It's not something I can deal with here, because how each of the organizations are going to use information technology to do all these things is very different. Every organization has to truly think about it. Uh, Today, I've had a conversation around two Zoho platforms. So there's something that is called Zoho Collaboration, and it's got its own collaboration tools. There's also something called Zoho One, ONE, right? Zoho One, which is like an ERP. And I've spoken to clients today and advising them and guiding them in terms of which of the packages they need to buy, how do they need to structure it, what do they need to do, how can they get value out of their investment. All of you need to go away, thinking. I mean, it's almost the end of year. Companies say that they're doing strategy, but I've seen that a lot of companies don't do strategy when it comes to this. They do budgeting. So what they do is that they have a budget. But budget is not the same thing as strategy. They're two different things. Budget is not the same thing as strategy. So budget is a subcomponent of strategy. So IT needs to sit down with the business. There was a client I worked with last week or 2 weeks ago, and they showed me evidence over the last 3 years where they take a questionnaire between the months of October and November, or no, September and October, because they said they're about to start that process again this year. They take a questionnaire to every department in the organization to find out what are their automation needs, what are their needs for laptops, what are their needs for emails, what are their needs for digital platforms, what workflows do they want, and things like that. This just 2 weeks ago. And they had evidence that they had done it even this is like the third year that they do it, that they consistently go to meet the departments, they converse with them, they find out their needs, their requests, their requirements, and they then prioritize those things and they put them in the budget. So people on the call, how many of you in your organizations do you do that? How many of you have seen organizations that do that? IT goes to sit with the business, every department, understand their needs, understand their requirements, document all those things, and then prioritize, and then use that as the basis for a budget for each of those departments. That's something you all need to think about. But so, do you agree with me that if you deploy, please go to the chat room, everybody? I need some feedback. Do you agree with me that if you use and adopt and deploy information technology appropriately, it can help your business meet its objectives? Do you have case studies? Do you have examples in your own lifetime that shows that if an organization truly, 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 truly takes information security into consideration, they will achieve their objectives? All right. So that's very important. As I said, our foundation course is a 2-day course. I'm not going to try to go through everything. I'm just going to go through a couple of things, and I'm going to bring it to a close in there. Because even in the class, there's so many things we do, fill sample templates and do things like that. So, anyways, that's it, right? The other thing that I see a lot of people talk about digital transformation in banking, in telecommunications, in insurance. Well, the thing that is under that, one of the things that your organization must do properly if you're going to ever digitally transform is to adopt COBIT. And I'll prove it to you in a short bit. It's one of the things that your organization has to do properly. So all that digital transformation documentation, if you're failing with regards to this COBIT 2019, then you're not doing anything. If you're failing with regards to the adoption of COBIT 2019, then you are not doing anything. You will never digitally transform. It's just not going to happen. So if you're going to digitally transform, then you must adopt COBIT. I can put it here if you permit me. I can say, let me write something here. Maybe I write it. Yeah. Let me write this over here and say COBIT 2019 and ISO 20,000, right? Or ITIL for adoption is the foundation, the foundation for successful digital transformation. Yes, I can put my hand on my chest relative to this, right? COVID adoption, right? The appropriate. Should I say? Let me qualify it: effective and efficient. Effective and efficient adoption, right? Of COVID 2019 ITIL is yes. Okay. Yep. Good. Yeah. So I can put my hand on my chest and tell you this. So you as an organization, you need to go back and think about it, right? You know what? You need to go back, think about it. But if your organization is saying, I'm trying to digitally transform, and you have not effectively and efficiently adopted 2019, 20,000. I'm not talking about certification, because every time you talk about that, people say I'm certified. That's not what I'm talking about. A lot of people are certified, but the organization, the maturity level is at maturity level 2, right? So they're certified, but the maturity is at level 2. Okay. So so all these things that companies are thinking about, omni-channel and many other things that they're thinking about, it's this COBIT that will allow them to get those things right and to ensure that those things are sustainable. It is this COBIT that will help them to get these things right and to ensure that these things are sustainable. If an organization does not adopted COBIT, a lot of that means it's doing its digital transformation, its omni-channel banking, its omni-channel insurance, all those things that they're doing. They're just doing them scatteredly, so to speak. So an organization really needs to ensure that they adopt COBIT as it is. I can also stand behind this. All right. I can stand behind this. So once again, as your organization is going into 2025, You need to start to say, how am I using, do I have an intranet? I mean, one of my colleagues were looking at an intranet some days ago and, and it was just mind blowing how some organizations, the heart of their organization is an intranet. It's an intranet application, right? And I'm not talking about intranet on the infrastructure side because people don't understand what it is. So I'm talking about intranet, like what you will. So everybody, if you go online, somebody can put the link in there. There's an organization I used to buy their intranet guide. Please just type intranet guide. I've forgotten the name of the organization. They sell it. They have put intranet the guide 2023 or something. They will go around. I used to buy it a lot when I used to do SharePoints and things like that. They will go around the world looking at organizations, telling them, I've forgotten their name. I'm sure if I check on my computer, right? If you find the link, just put it in the chat room. If you find the link, they've been selling, at least I can tell you that they've sold intranet guide for almost about 15 years. They do the annual one. So you see intranet guide 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24 from them. Companies submit their intranet, they fill out an application and they do a competition. I've forgotten their name now, but if I check on my computer, I'll find. So most organizations don't have a great intranet. They don't, or you can check out something called Bitrix, everybody. So you can check out something called Bitrix. You can put the link in the chat room, Bitrix 24, Bitrix. Just type Bitrix 24 intranet. What should an intranet look like? What is the value of an intranet? How can an intranet add value to an organization? I think this is important, and I can stand behind this. If your organization has got right, maybe I should make a caveat. Right? Yeah, say aligned to an excellent business strategy. So let me make that caveat there, that because of course, if your strategy is whacked as a business, there's not a lot that this will do for you. But if you have your strategy right, an organization, then you need technology and you need to adopt it appropriately. People have been talking to me. A guy called Santos developed this, and people have been talking to me about this whole AI adoption. There's an ISO standard. So maybe before the end of the year, if I get the chance, I will do a webinar where I'll really drill down. I probably won't make it the webinar. I'll probably do a full foundation training on this ISO 42001. There's an industry that I'll be presenting something along these lines, and I'm going to be aligning it with what we do with Copilot. There's an industry I'm going to be presenting to in a couple of months, and we're going to be aligning it with Copilot. On this call, I'm sure that Femi and a couple of my colleagues who are all Copilot experts, Joseph, I believe that we're going to do some of those things together. So once again, this conversation of governance and management, it has now gone specifically even into AI, so that you can use AI appropriately within your own organization. So everything that goes wrong usually in IT is because this governance and management is broken, right? When it comes to COBIT, it's got specific things for these stakeholders. Like the COBIT objectives are tied to all these entities are meant to be completely involved. And usually that's the problem, right? Most people want to adopt COBIT, what they think is primarily an IT initiative. They think that that's all is about. They think that that's all this whole thing is about. Like it's about IT. But it's not just about IT. In fact, it's talking about that IT needs to be working closely, and he actually even names some of the objectives. It names them in line with this. That means IT cannot get these things working appropriately alone. They must work with other departments and units. So this is one of the big challenges. If an organization is unable to work with all these units and departments, then they cannot really adopt COBIT properly. COBIT mandates that they work with all these units and this department. I'm not the one that has come up with it. It is COBIT. I'll show it to you in a couple of minutes as it is. So COBIT says that you will start this whole conversation from the board, not from the CEO. That means the board, they are involved. And once, so COBIT makes a differentiation between number 11 and number 12. Like the board, right, headed by a chairman, the executive headed by a CEO, managing director. And COBIT says that the board is the one in charge of governance, executive that the ones in charge of management. They only relinquish it to the CIO of the organization. But that management of information technology primarily belongs to the executives. But they can then say, okay, you know what? We've given it to the CIO to drive and to manage for us, right? So this is one of the biggest challenges with the adoption of COBIT. Most people adopt it only inside of IT, but there's a portions of this thing that if except you work with all these other departments, you can't get it right. All right, so everybody, if you see my screen, you will see, let me use this one. Okay, all right. If you look at my screen, you'll see a couple of things here. All right. These are all sample deliverables if you're getting COBIT right. But you see, it's not just about the policies, it's about the execution of policies. You know, I keep telling clients that all the time. All right. You tell me that you have a policy, but what is the evidence that the policy has been executed? Because if it's just about the ownership of policies and procedures, anybody can have them. So an organization that comes and shows me this and shows me all these policies, I'll first clap for them. I'll clap. I'll be like, well done, my friend. Well done. You have done well. Can you show me how these policies have been executed with the appropriate evidence? That'll be the next thing. I'm going to say, show me specifically how these policies have been executed. Level one, I agree. You must have a policy, some guidance, some principles, some procedure, some process, something that says this is your intent, because that's what a policy is. It's just your intent around something. You know, the process and the procedure are just like the things you said, that this is how you do things. If I'm coming as an external reviewer, as an assessor, as an auditor, the thing that is going to come to my mind is, show me the evidence that these things have been done. And if you're doing COBIT, this is it. You must have these things in place, owned by the organization, and then in addition to that, you must have the evidence of execution. Here like this, you'll see that some of these things are not even IT. A lot of these things, I mean, some, not a lot, right, of the things that I hear, they don't even belong to IT. Look at my screen. They belong to different departments in the organization. So here I've tried to identify some things in red that don't even belong to IT. They belong to risk. They belong to the board secretary, to legal, to compliance. They belong to TQM or process improvement. They belong to the department that drives privacy. They belong to the people who are doing program and project management. They belong to HR. Look at the parts that are put in red. They don't belong to IT. So this is beyond IT. You can't say that IT can be the driver, IT can be at the center of it, but you've got to work closely with other units and departments in the organization. People don't look at COBIT like this. People don't think about COBIT like this. They don't realize that COBIT has got to work with many other units. Look at this specification I picked directly from the COBIT documentation. I didn't come up with it. This is not my thought. This is not my invention. This is what the COBIT documentation captures. But you've got to look in between the lines to be able to find it. But it says that an organization must have all these things in place. Once again, the things that are put in red, they don't even belong to IT. You've got to work with other units and departments in the organization to be able to get them done. And that's why I was showing you the other slide. I said, COBITs, you can spearhead the whole thing from IT, but its use and its adoption and all that, it's got to be beyond IT. All right. So after I've said that, this new documentation, this is what, I mean, it's got more documentation than this, but this is where it started. All right. So there's an introductory methodology, there's objectives, the design. I mean, it's plenty things. I mean, they've added more documentation to the entire set. And I said, share. So maybe Angela should share the link that everybody can download something from the ISACA website. There's some COBIT, free COBIT documentation that has about 5 or 6 files or something like that. And I think they're very useful for everybody. Okay. This is COBIT, everybody. This is COBIT. 2 areas of discipline, 5 domains. Within the 5 domains, one of them is governance, which is the EDM, and then the remaining 4, they're for management. And COBIT contains 231 practices and 8,200 activities. This is COBIT. It's very deep. It's extremely detailed. It's very deep. It is extremely detailed. If an organization says we do it, and if they're planning to do it properly, it's extremely deep and extremely detailed. Provides a lot of guidance. So people don't know that. It actually tells you the specific activities and practices tied to those 40 things. And in some of those things you've downloaded, you'll find these things there. But to use and to adopt it, you will definitely need help, but that's it. Okay. In COBIT, we always talk about that 3rd bullet point, everybody. All right. Value creation. And inside of value creation, there are 3 key things. I remember when I did this the other time, I called it the something behind the numbers. Something behind the numbers or behind the numbers. I can't even remember. I'm not sure. I'm sure we recorded it then, but somebody would have lost the recording or something like that. So I won't spend too much time here. Yeah, so look at the 3rd bullet point. He also says what? This whole thing is not tied to the IT department alone. And there are 2 key things, governance and management. Governance belongs to the board. That means there should be a board subcommittee as far as COBIT is concerned that talks about information technology, that owns information technology. The same way we have audit subcommittee, risk subcommittee, we should have information technology subcommittee at the board level. That's what this is demanding for, at the board level. But beyond that, that is at the board level, the CEO is the overall manager when it comes to the IT, but he can delegate that whole thing to the CIO, but it's owned by the CEO. So this is one of those things. As I said, in those days, I called it the something behind the numbers, right? So if we're doing this, we'll talk about, governance ensures 3 key things. And then we have to discuss this and all that. But look at the bullet point after number 3. It says overall the responsibility of the board of directors under the leadership of the chairperson, right? So that's important. From COBIT perspective, overall governance is the responsibility of the board. That's how COBIT looks at it. Okay? And then, of course, you look at here, the last bullet point here, it then says management is the responsibility of the executive management under the leadership of the CEO. He can then delegate it to the CIO. But that's it. So once again, governance, and it says that governance will ensure 3 key things. Stakeholder needs are met, there's a clear direction for IT, and then performance and compliance. Okay? So if your board does not have a subcommittee, every board meeting, quarterly meeting, they're not discussing IT specifically, then there's a challenge. But the CEO also accept that the overall management, right, is that when we talk about accountability and responsibility, overall accountability is chairman. Everybody, if you go online, look for Lloyd's TSB UK, IT downtime and chairman penalties. Everybody go online if you get the chance. Lloyd's TSB UK, IT downtime, incident, and penalties that were given to both the chairman and the CEO. They didn't go and check. It's available online. The chairman and the CEO, you can also do Lloyd's TSB, IT downtime, at the parliament. So if you check those things, you will know that if your chairman does not know that overall accountability for IT, overall for the organization, belongs to the board, and overall management belongs to the executives. The executive, the CEO just delegates the day-to-day running of IT to the CIO. This is not the conversation a lot of people know, understand, or are comfortable with, but that is exactly what COBIT says. All right. So I'm not going to, I don't want to turn this into, I cannot go through all this. This is our actual trading material, right? COBIT defines the components, the design factors, many things. And then it tells you, one of the good things is that it actually tells you what COBIT is not, or the mistakes people make with regards to COBIT. What are the mistakes people make? What are the challenges? It's not a full description of the whole IT environment. COBIT will not tell you about Unix, right? So COBIT will not necessarily tell you that. I don't agree with number 2 because it gives you a framework to organize it, but that's not all. That's what they're trying to say there. So it doesn't tell you about SQL Server and all those kinds of things. It doesn't tell you to buy a CRM, but it will tell you what the expectations are in terms of your practices and your activities. So if people are preparing for an exam, we're going to focus on each of these so that they can also pass the exam. But my big concern is not for you to really pass an exam. My big concern is really for people to adopt COBIT properly, right? Exam passing is fine. At the end of this, everybody that registered to come here will share a link with you where you can take an awareness exam, right? You can take what we can call an awareness exam relative to this. It also talks about various stakeholders. So once again, look at the first stakeholder. It's the board, internal. So that's a good thing. So when people are talking about stakeholders, COBIT already tells us who are the internal and external stakeholders, just like in ISO that they talk about the needs and the expectations of interested parties. So look at it. It starts with the board, starts with EXCO, it starts with departmental managers, the IT managers, the assurance people like compliance and audit, and of course, risk management. This is what COBIT says. This is what it says. Now you have to think about all the stakeholders and their needs, their expectations, and their requirements from IT, right? And also what it is that they contribute. And then external talks about your regulators, it talks about your partners, and it also talks about your vendors. This is what COBIT says, right? It breaks the principles into 2. It's got what we call the governance principles and also what we call the governance system principles and the governance framework principles. 2 different things. One of them, the one to my right, which is the governance framework principles, just tells you what they were thinking about when they developed COBIT, the things that they took into consideration when they developed COBIT as a framework. That's what the framework principles are referring to, while the system principles are actually telling you of things that you must take into consideration when you're implementing and adopting COBIT. So the framework principle tells you what they were thinking of, all the things they took into consideration when they were developing the framework. But the system tells you some specific things that apply to how you adopt and use the methodology or the framework in itself. So when he says, oh, you should take a holistic approach, or you should ensure that your stakeholders generate value from this whole thing, or you should ensure that you think about it end to end, or that you should separate governance from management, or that you should ensure that the way you will use COBIT in an insurance company is different from how you will use it and adopt it and tailor it in a bank. 2 different things. 2 different things. All right. Okay. Ultimately, the most important thing when it comes to COBIT is this page, everybody. So if you take nothing away from here, this is the most important thing you need to take away. It is this page. This is the ultimate page when it comes to this. This is it. The 40 different objectives, right? Some of the objectives, you have to work with other departments. Some of them are completely in IT. So if I come here, for example, if you look at it, some of these things are purely in IT. So when you talk about maybe if you come under the plan, right? So it says what? First and foremost, it says categorically that you should put governance in place. So look at some of the things that are at the very top. Everybody look at the 5 things that are at the top. This is the most important part of the whole thing. So if you take nothing away, just take this away. And you can take a screenshot. Once again, these are training material. You can take a screenshot and you can say to yourself that, and I can extract portions of this. As I said, it's an accredited training material. You can go ask yourself, how are we doing relative to this? So once again, if you've taken nothing away from this whole thing that we're doing today, take a screenshot of this page and start. The idea is to go back to say, okay, at the board level, do we even have anything like a governance framework that talks about IT? The EDM 02, do we have an approach whereby historical projects that we have done, we're checking them for the delivery of benefits? Do we have anything like that? Do we have anything that we're doing looking at all the risks around information technology use and adoption? Do we have anything that we're doing with regards to how human resources and all the technology assets that we have, they're being utilized optimally? And that's a big IT problem. People buy solutions, they buy ERPs, they buy Microsoft 365, they buy many things, but they never optimally use those things. And then, of course, it comes to stakeholder engagement. Are we managing our stakeholders both internally and externally? If you come to APO01, all right, do we have an IT management framework? Have we adopted the likes of ITIL or ISO 20000? Then APO02, do we have a strategy for IT, a documented and updated strategy for IT? Does it exist? Do we have it? And in a lot of places, I can tell you it's no. They don't have a documented IT strategy. It is not updated. They have a budget, but not necessarily a documented and clear strategy. As your organization implemented enterprise architecture, have you done that? Right? How are you driving innovation? Innovation cannot be just in IT. There are many ways to innovate. Of course, in modern day, the endpoint of the innovation process is the use of technology to automate and to drive it. But the thinking does not have to come from technology. The product owners, banking operations, insurance operations, the people who own the products and the services that you sell, they're the ones that should be trained on how to do innovation. I'm sure I have a webinar that is on YouTube where I was talking about innovation. The ISO even has a standard for innovation. I'm sure if somebody can look for the link, A4S, I was doing something on innovation management. So innovation belongs to the business. IT is an enabler of such an innovation. Even when it comes to APO02, the strategy of IT must be clearly aligned to the strategy of the organization in itself. The people who define how budgeting and cost management is done in the organization is the finance department. And then that whole thing can dovetail into IT. The people who talk about HR and how we hire, when we hire, the category of people that we hire, and all those things, it's from HR, but we cannot extend it into IT. So you can see here, APO02, I need the guys in strategy to work with us. APO04, I need the people in strategy or product innovation or service innovation, whatever you call it, or business transformation to work with us. The portfolio side of things, there are 3 things: portfolio, program, and projects. So that is APO05, BIA01, and BIA11. They're all, if you go to PMI or even go to Axelos, they have got methodologies for portfolio, for program, and then for project. So it's like the widest of them is portfolio. Within portfolio are multiple programs. Within each program are multiple projects. What I always tell people is that we're all doing very badly with regards to BAI 11. I'm not asking whether your people are trained on PMP or PMBOK, on PRIS2. I'm not asking for training. I'm asking for how they manage projects? Do they use Jira? Do they use any of the other tools that people use, Slack or whatever it is that people are using as a project management tool? Do they use Microsoft Project? Do they even use Excel to manage the project? Do they write lessons learned? Do they do weekly status meetings that is documented? Most organizations are struggling with BAI 11. If you're struggling with 11, what's the point of talking about BAI 01, which is to manage programs? If you don't have programs, why are we talking about APO 05, which is portfolio? And I believe that the beginning of projects in every organization is that it should start from finance. If that thing is a capex item, then it should be managed as a project. My personal belief. That if it's a capex item, it should be managed as a project. Whether it's an IT project, whether it's a facility or construction project, it doesn't matter. In as much as capital expenditure. And who are those that will tell us what is capital expenditure? People in finance. So you can see finance in APO 06, you can see HR in APO 007. You can talk about how we're managing relationships internally and external. Because it's both ways. If we have a contact center or we have a CRM and we have customer service and a lot of our products that we provide, they're all via digital platforms. That becomes some of the relationships we need to be worried about and we need to manage. And of course, if we have a service desk internally and then you are speaking to all the departments and finding out what are their issues and responding to their incidents as quickly as possible comes to relationship. And that relationship is the younger brother of EDM 05, which is to talk about stakeholders, internal and external. So EDM 05 is speaking about it broadly, but when you get to APO 08, is looking at it in depth. Service agreements, whatever kind of agreements we have, internally and externally. Internally, the promises that IT is making to the business and the violations and the penalties tied to that. External, all the providers that make promises to IT or to the organization to support them with their core banking or core insurance, to support them with network, to support them with internet service. How do we manage our vendors? Because there's a link between APO 09 and APO 10. Because externally, those vendors, we have to do vendor due diligence, we have to do, there are third parties, we have to do third-party risk assessment, we have to do vendor onboarding, and then for each of our vendors, we must have an SLA. Okay, so there's a relationship between APO 09 and APO 10, right? And you can see APO 12, which is the younger sister of EDM 03. Now, when it comes to APO 12, EDM 03 is looking at risk generally, enterprise risk, but by the time we get to APO 12, it's looking at IT risks. Not only information technology, information security, because every time we talk about IT risk, people think you're only talking about information security. But that's why if you check ISO 20000, that is why you have that 6.1 that talks about the actions to address risks and opportunities. IT risk inside of ISO 20000. That's why I said the background that allows you to be able to do this. Let me put it here, everybody. To successfully do this, the organization ordinarily, right? Ordinarily. Yep. Ordinarily. Now, I mean, we can't really say it's a rule, but you'll find out that a lot of these things, if the organization had done this, it just makes their life easy. You know, I'm probably one of the people that have trained the highest number of people when it comes to ITIL in the country. But that doesn't mean that the organizations that all those people work for, that they actually adopt ITIL. People, everybody just get trained and they have the certificate and they put it on LinkedIn and then pretty much. We're talking about adoption. So you keep using me, you're hearing me use the word adoption. I'm not talking about just passing an exam or getting certified or getting trained. Of course, training is the beginning of everything. I mean, this is a training session in itself. Well, APO 012 is IT risk. Now, APO 11 talks about the quality of IT services, but that's because the organization ordinarily probably should have adopted ISO 9001, which talks about the quality of processes generally, of which IT processes are a subset of the general processes in the organization. So if you have a quality management department, they'll have they should have a set of KPIs for IT. So once again, how does the enterprise do budgeting and costing? How do we do IT budgeting and costing? How does the enterprise manage HR? How do we manage IT HR? How does the enterprise manage strategy? How do we do IT strategy? How does the enterprise manage risk? How do we do IT risk? These things, they stem from the organization. Of course, security here, there are two things around security. Everybody, APO 13 and DSS 05. So one is the younger brother of the other one. So that there's some points of interaction. DSS 05 is a subset of APO 13. Okay. That there's a mistake under that A14. That is managed data, not date. It is data, not date. How do we manage data? Right? So that's what it is. It is data. Right? How do we manage data? Yeah, something like that. Yeah. How do we manage data? Okay. If you go to build, right, you will see programs. I already talked about that. This is why organizations, I keep telling you, when you hire people in IT, first thing you need to do is to make sure, right? The first thing you need to do is to make sure that everybody goes through business analysis. All of us need business analysis skills. And tomorrow 10 a.m., I will be doing a webinar on business analysis. You're all invited. Please share the link in the chat room. I think everybody should be a business. We should have business analysis skills. Doesn't matter what you need to what department. God forbid that we hire into IT and you're struggling with business analysis skill sets. Tomorrow I'll talk about business analysis because you see that BAI 02, BAI 03 are directly under business analysis. Both of them are directly under business analysis. In fact, business analysis is the concept of gathering and documenting and eliciting and explaining requirements. It's about requirements management end to end and how the requirements will allow you to pick the right solutions, whether you're going to build them or you're going to buy them. So business analysis is completely embedded between BAI 02 and 03. And if an organization does not have such capabilities, how are they going to do IT properly? Right? Of course. So there's specifications for availability, for capacity, right? Once again, if an organization has not adopted 20,000, it doesn't mean they can't do COBIT. I'm just saying that ordinarily, right? Ordinarily, their life will be easy because there's an alignment here. Okay. So there's availability of the assets so that the services can be up and running, all right? And capacity of the assets so that the assets don't run out of capacity to be able to support services. Organizational change is not an IT thing. The problem with organizational change is that people need to change, right? You buy an ERP, nobody's using it. Tell people that they should use email for something, they will use WhatsApp for it. Tell people in the organization that this application for leave, there's a capability on what did they call it? There's a capability on what's that thing called? There's a capability on there's a capability on a tool or a platform, collaboration software. Go and check what people are really doing with the, sorry, give me a second. Just give me 1 second. Hold on. Just give me a second, please. I just found out I wasn't charging my computer, so please just give me 1 second, please. All right. Yeah, I did my such a low time. All right. Sorry about that. I apologize. Okay. I hope you can still see my screen. All right. So BAI 02 and 03, it's all about business analysis, availability of the assets so that the services that are provided via those assets. I hope you're taking into consideration what I'm saying. Availability of the assets so that the services that are provided via those assets, they will remain up. Nobody wants downtime. Everybody wants uptime. So there will be more. So hopefully there will be more uptime than downtime and capacity of the assets so that the assets don't run out of capacity and thereby come into a position or situation in which they cannot support the services any longer. Organizational change. Everybody go online. Somebody should check the link for me. Please help me. Microsoft 365 Microsoft 365 change management model or change management documentation. Microsoft had you might not even find it for Microsoft 365, but you'll find it for Office 365, everybody. But Office 365, that was how the documentation was called before. Office 365 change management adoption plan, something like that. Check for me and please put it in the chat room. Office 365 change management adoption plan or something like that. Microsoft has created so much collateral because they found out that people were buying IT solutions, especially Microsoft 365, and they were not using them. People were buying, but they were not using them. So that organizational change here, if you know the number of clients that are going to do an assessment, and when you get to organizational change, they have interpreted BAI 05 as BAI 06. They think BAI 05 and BAI 06 are the same. Organizational change here, everybody can check out something called PROSCI. 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 You see change management model. But to bring ProSci home, Microsoft then created Office 365 change management adoption plan, change management templates, because they saw that people were buying Office 365 then, and the people were not really utilizing them. So the BAI 05 is not about IT. It's actually HR and some other departments that help to do that. BAI 06 is IT changes. A lot of us know that. BAI 07 is IT, is the offshoot or the continuation of IT changes in such a way that you now transition from the, what's that thing called? From the test environment into the live environment. So where we talk about a concept called deployment and release, everybody. There's a concept called deployment and release. That deployment and release comes in under BAI 07. So some of those things we talk about under DevOps, they come under BAI 07. You manage the change and you transition it from the development environment or to the test environment, from test environment to a deployment package, from deployment package, you now release it into production. All those things are under BAI 07. Most clients are not ready for these kinds of projects. All right? People just want the policies, which is fine. But this project is beyond that. Knowledge here talks about how do you retain knowledge? How do you manage and keep knowledge? Knowledge around knowledge articles, knowledge artifacts, SOPs, historical knowledge that you've captured and documented on how issues have been resolved, historical project documentation, and many other things like that. Asset is the same asset. Like when we're doing ISO 20000 or ITIL, we talk about the asset and its configuration. The asset and its configuration. So we talk about an asset management system and a CMDB. BAI 10. BAI 10 is where the CMDB is now captured. the configuration of my laptop, memory, processor, interface card, sound, VGA resolution, the configuration of my laptop, and my laptop is meant to be seen as an asset. Then I've talked about project management. Most people are doing project management very badly. It doesn't matter the number of PMPs that the organization has got. Sometimes I went around so many banks on behalf of CBN looking at projects, and most people, all they had to show me was that they had certified people. I'm like, but I'm not asking about certified people. I'm asking that where are all the project initiation documents? Where are all the project risk documents? Where are all the project procurement documents? Where are all the project change documents? Where are all the transition plans for projects? I mean, that's what I'm asking. Prince 2, the older version of Prince 2 had 26 templates. They used to call them work products that must be the management products, sorry, that you must deliver on a Prince 2 project. 26 of them in the older version. In the new version, they reduced it to 15. Compulsory documentation that you must maintain if you've adopted Prince 2 properly. This is not a joke. This is not what you play with, but a lot of people play with these things. They don't take them into consideration as it is. If you look at Underrun, it talks about managing IT operations. What exactly are the teams doing? There's an alignment between this and one of the clauses inside of ISO 20000. How are you managing IT operations within the various teams, infrastructure team, applications team? How are you managing IT operations within those teams? How do you manage their daily tasks? How do you manage those kinds of things? And then it now talks about requests from the business and incidents. Various requests from the business and incidents. Then it talks about the elder brother of incidents, which is a problem. Because when an incident has gone beyond what it should, then it graduates and grows muscles and then becomes a problem. And then the managed continuity, that means there's an alignment between DSS 04 and business continuity, ISO 22301. Right? Because the continuity here, yes, is kind of tilted towards IT in this place. So, business continuity is not meant to be just about IT, but in here is tilted towards IT. So there's business continuity, or better still, let me say there's disaster recovery under COBIT, which is DSS 04. This same thing is under ISO 20000 and is also under ITIL. Also, there's information security here. Remember, I told you DSS 05 is the younger brother of APO 13. So while 13 is looking at security at a high level, DSS 05 is looking at that security at a very low level. And then DSS 06 talks about business controls, approvals, workflows, notifications, and things that pretty much how you manage whatever, whether you have a process maker or you have a BPM tool or you have an ERP or you have an insurance application, the business control process controls that are within those applications specifically. And in a lot of banks, especially, internal controls are directly involved in DSS 06 as a department. InfoSec is around APO 13 and DSS 05. In banks, their business continuity, which is under operational risk for most of them, is involved with DSS 04. So other departments are here. Operational risk is here. Information security is here. Internal control are the ones who, in banks, because our banks are relatively advanced, they separate internal control from internal audit. And internal control is the one that really focuses on who's got a certain kind of right to do something on the core banking application. If you move further, you then come to measure, evaluate, and to access, manage performance and conformance monitoring. In a lot of banks, especially, that is also under internal control. So MEA01 and MEA02 in advanced organizations is driven by internal control. But it might not be. It might also be driven by internal audit. It depends on the size of the organization. Some organizations don't have that nomenclature or that concept called internal control. But they've now moved to control functions. Everything under MEA here is a control function. Because the person that is going to be involved in MEA 01, 02, 03, and 04 normally is internal control, internal audit, compliance, because all those are control functions. That means they are not the doers of those things, they are the reviewers of those things. Everything under improve is a line 2. If you look at what is called 3 LOD, somebody can put a diagram for 3 LOD in the chat room. If you look at what is tied to if you look at the 3 lines of defense, they don't really call it 3 lines of defense. They just call it 3 lines now. They stop calling it the 3 lines of defense. It's just 3 lines, right? The doers, the initial set of reviewers, and then finally within the organization is internal audit. MEA04 belongs to internal audit. MEA03 belongs to compliance. How can IT work together with those units and departments? That's what this whole thing is about. And there are 40 of them. This diagram that I'm using is not from COBIT. The diagram from COBIT in itself is this one, but the same thing, same difference. Right? So pretty much that's it. If you take nothing away from today, take this away with you. Go and ask yourself, how do I get these 40 things done in my own organization? How do I work with all the units in the department to ensure that this is done and done appropriately? That is what this whole thing is about. If we were in a full training class, we're just going to drill down into each of them, have discussions, look at templates, look at approaches and things like that. But this is the core of the entire COBIT, these 40 things. And the organization needs to get this done. Otherwise, IT is going to be hampered in terms of its ability to be able to appropriately deliver value, enterprise value of IT. The enterprise value. Actually, Isaac has got a document like that. If you check online, somebody can check and put the link in the chat room if you find it. I hope some people are attending to these things, putting links for some of these things. Isaac used to have a called the enterprise value of IT. If these things are not in place, IT is not working optimally in that organization. I can tell you that for free. I can tell you that for free. Okay, pretty much that's it. As I said, this is the key thing I want everybody to take away. Is the key thing, and if this is all you go away with, then you're fine. Just go put this out there and start to think. How do I do this? How do we achieve this? What's our roadmap for this? How are we involving these people? Are we working with these people? What are we meant to be doing with them? Go back, think around these things, and ensure that you put them in place appropriately in your own organization. HR is involved, finance is involved, compliance is involved, audit is involved, many entities are involved. If you sit here right now and start to do an assessment, most organizations, if you're the representative of the organization amongst this 40, most people cannot score, they can't get green on 20 of them. Objectively, look at it with adequate evidence. Most people cannot get green on 20 of these things. Most organizations will fail. Only a few enterprise organizations, and even a lot of enterprise organizations will still fail this assessment. So once again, remember I told you, it's not just about the ownership of having policies. Somebody, oh, we have all these policies. Well, of course, people have policies every day. People have policies every day. Small problem. Are the policies being adequately executed? Now that's a different ballgame. When it comes to policies, people have policies every day. All right? So policies are everywhere. Are they executing these policies? All right. So I think I was working on something. Yeah. Saying that, oh, you know what? These COBIT objectives, you can map them to ITIL, you can map them to ISO 20000. All right. So yeah, pretty much. They also talks about the design factors. It talks about the design factors. Many things that you must take into consideration if you're designing your IT governance and management environment. It gives a lot of guidance on this. Calls it the design factors. If you're going to design how IT is going to be governed and managed appropriately, 11 key things that you must take into consideration. If you're going to design how IT should be effectively governed and managed. Combination of things that you need to take into keen consideration. All right, so I'll just show a couple of more things and then we'll bring it right. So for example, it talks about risks here. It talks about risks here. IT risks, and gives you some samples around IT risks. So you can even do risk assessment just tied to this for your own organization. And come up with your risk rating. Where are we exposed? Where do we have a challenge? What are we doing badly as an organization? What have we taken care of? What are we ready for? What are we on top of? What are we not on top of? Tied to this. Calls it risks. And COBIT differentiates risks from issues. Then it has this one. Calls it issues. Just like we tell people all the time that risks are different from issues. Risks are in the future. Issues are with you right now. Okay. Okay. Right. So it differentiates risks from issues. As I said, okay, just a couple of more things. So one of the things that, every time I tell people this, that if you practice something like COBIT, you know that there's a difference between the capability level of processes and how COBIT says you should look at maturity. So COBIT brings a distinction between what we say capability, which is much more difficult and is meant to be at the level of processes, versus maturity, which is meant to be at the level of what COBIT calls the focus areas. Capability of processes versus the maturity level for certain focus area. Capability versus maturity. It talks about the focus areas. Where are those focus areas again? It's somewhere. They will know. It's somewhere. Then it has an implementation model. This is the COBIT's implementation model. In the training class, these are the kinds of things you need to spend time thinking about. Everybody, look at the. All right. I mean, especially look at things around the program management. Initiate the program, define the problems and the opportunities, develop a roadmap, plan your IT improvement program, execute your plan, think about benefits realization, review effectiveness. So that program there is talking about your overall IT improvement program. It gives you a specific methodology around it. Gives you a specific methodology around it. It gives you a methodology even for your continual improvement life cycle. It gives you a methodology for your change enablement. It gives you a methodology for all these things. All right? It gives you a methodology even for the thinking and the planning, which is what it calls the implementation life cycle phase questions. All right. So this is it, everybody, pretty much. Right? And he has a case study and things like that. And they had to reference all these documentations to be able to put it together. Okay, that is it, everyone. Once again, please, that is it. We'll share a link with you to take like some kind of awareness, COVID awareness exam, as it the exam. So we'll share that with everybody that is registered and that is on this call. Good. So what's your big takeaway amongst the many things that we've said? Let's bring this to a beautiful close. We've been here for more than an hour. I didn't want to spend more than an hour or an hour, 15 minutes. I think this is about time. So please, everybody, what is your big takeaway? What is it that is going through your mind as we're talking about this, as we're describing some of these things from the beginning? I am hoping I can read from everybody that is here with us. Quickly, everybody, thank you. I want to come into the chat room. Please just give me your thoughts. We'll pretty much come to the end here as it is. Yes. Okay. Yes, thank you. Mr. Didn't get this one. The internet bias guide. Let me check. No. It's not even this agility one. No, I'll look for that one. Yes, please give me your feedback. So somebody said, well, for instance, IT change. Oh yeah, it doesn't have to be. That was just a sample, Mariah. Mariah, that was just a sample. Besides, COBIT only implemented in particular categories. No, you can do it. It's just that you need a lot of intelligence if you're going to try to do this for a small to medium-sized organization. So no, you can do it. You can do it. Yes, I'm sure we'll share the recorded session. Yes. Yeah. Not the material is the training material. I'm sorry, Ibrahim, it's for the actual training in itself, right? So of course, yeah, we offer the exams and things like that. Um Muiwa is the person to speak to book Victoria, better still. Muiwa is too busy for all of us. Victoria. Matthias. Matthias is a global guru when it comes to COBIT. Matthias, I greet you, right? Brilliant, right? I'll do an extract of the presentation. I think that's fair enough. I will do an extract of the presentation, right? Business analysis link. Somebody said they should please share the business analysis link for tomorrow. Please give me your feedback. What's your big takeaway? I just want your big takeaway, everybody. Tell me what is it that you're taking away. I'll do an extract from the slides. I promise you that. I'll do that. Yeah. Yeah, so you can, thank you very much, Adiola Ayodeji. Yes, you can implement but might not adopt. Absolutely. Absolutely. Adiola, they should put your words in gold. Implementation versus adoption. Implementation can be done in 3 months or 4 months or 6 months. Adoption will be, you need like 2-3 years to get on top of it. Abdurrahman, thank you very much. Go look at it. Yes, Abdurrahman, this definitely is work that your organization needs to do. I think the organization has abandoned this whole thing. Besides, all right. Oh, no. Oh, besides, it can work. Oh, besides, it can work for small to medium-sized businesses. It just will take a different kind of approach. I use a lot of those enterprise ones because I mean I work more with the enterprise, but I'm telling you, I've also done this for SMEs and it has worked. Right? Funsha, I will share extracts from the slide. Yes. I mean, if you go back with some of those things that I've said, Brian, the first steps are there. You can run with it. You can drive it as it is. Yes, thank you very much, Mariah. Thank you for that. Yes, absolutely. I mean, without a doubt. Tolulokpe, no. For an IT company, nah, I won't really say that. So an IT company, except like a global IT company, really, really big one. For I think the two most important ones for IT companies would be 20,000 and 27001. So look, but for an IT company, my top three would be 9,001, 20,000, and 27,001. All right. So those are the top three. I won't really worry too much about business continuity for an IT company. I assume that they're very IT, right? Uh, okay, the policy list I'll include it as part of the things that I'm going to extract, right? Oh, thank you very much, Martins. Getting certified, is it the same thing? Adoption, oh yeah. So people think that certification is the be all of everything, but it's not. Um, Oh, well, no, I didn't really say 27. No. Rachel, I didn't say 27,000. I said 20,000. No, I didn't say 27. No, not at all. 27 doesn't really make much of a difference when it comes to this, right? It's useful, it's valuable, but it's not a big deal. The big deal really is ISO 20,000. It's 20,000, right? Yeah, that's what I said, Besides, I said ideally. Ideally. It doesn't mean you can't skip them to come here. I'm just saying ideally for you to have a great foundation. Um, Being a financial leader to adopt full into Talani, yes, yeah, I mean, we're happy to talk to you. So not a problem. Just reach out to us. We'll be happy to talk to you. Reach out to Victoria. Reach out to Mewa. Victoria, please put your details in here. Tomorrow morning, I'll be doing business analysis. So for the people who need to join me, if you want, please, we'll share the link with you. I'll be doing business analysis in the morning tomorrow. I've got a couple of clients that will be on the call, and I'll be doing business analysis for them. Yes. Oh, it's not. It's not a. So the thing is that Larry, I don't. It's not even a headache at all. It's just the. It becomes a headache when you don't do it properly, right? But when you do it properly, the organization gets value. No, absolutely. As an organization, you can't be an enterprise without thinking about this. So 20,000, Rachel, is what I said. ISO 20,000, which is the service management system. Right? Hey, Mr. Abdul. All right, absolutely. Yeah. Abdul, thank you very much for that. Yeah, but damn Larry, it's not just IT, it's for the entire organization. The value from this whole thing for the entire organization. Cynthia. Um, oh yes, it's not just about certification or training. You know, all of us focus on certification, we focus on training, and that's good. I'm not going to say that is bad. That's important. That's good. But it's more than that. It is definitely um more than that. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. It's been great having you here. Thank you for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to be here. We'll share extracts of the slides with all of you. And the ones that have time, I look forward to seeing you in my business analysis session tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate your time, all of you that have taken out of your very busy schedule to be here. I hope this has been useful. I hope it's been valuable. And I hope you're able to derive some value for your own organization from this session. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you, everybody. See you soon. See you tomorrow. But if your organization really wants to wants to move IT to the next level, go and take a pragmatic and practical approach to COBIT adoption. Don't think that it's just for the regulator, for CBN. Don't look at it that, oh, this is just something I need to do so that I can check off something with CBN. It's way more than that, right? So once again, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you, Lola. Thank you, Femi. Thank you, Muiwa, Victoria, and the entire team that have taken the pain and the time to set this whole thing up. I appreciate everybody being here. And I'm hoping once again that you've gotten value out of it. And I'm certain I'll probably see some of you in the business analysis session. So yeah, please reach out to the team. I'm sure they'll send you an email. I will take this from there. Thank you, everyone. God bless you. Have a great evening. Thank you.